On Thanksgiving Day is when Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs head to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Both teams counting their blessings because a path to the playoffs still exists, with the Chiefs entering Thanksgiving 8% chance to win the Super Bowl. Still, according to our analytics, that's fourth highest percentage of any other team. The Cowboys, on the other hand, have just an 8% chance too, but that is for them to make the playoffs. So exact same, Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, Cowboys just to simply make the playoffs. Kmart's with us now. Kimberly Martin is here. And so which is more likely, the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl or just the Cowboys making it into the dance?
This is tough, but I'm going to say Cowboys making it into the dance because I think part of it for me, the calculus is the Eagles. And I thought the Eagles would run away with that division. And instead, yes, their record is good, but I don't have the same level of confidence in them. Whereas the Cowboys, when you check in on Dallas, like I had a coach tell me that 21-point deficit that they had against Philly, they came back and Schottenheimer literally was like instilling the confidence in them, saying everybody believed we can come back one play at a time. 21 points. The old Cowboys, I feel like that would have been it. They would have completely imploded, and instead their new head coach has them in a position of we can beat anybody. With the Chiefs, I don't know. They still have Patrick Mahomes, but it just looks so hard. And when their offense, everything just seems really hard. Patrick is not playing as well as he had been. And you look at Dak Prescott, him and Matthew Stafford playing the best QB of anybody right now, best ball. So I'm going to say Cowboys because getting into the playoffs seems a little bit easier than the Chiefs taking it all the way through the AFC to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a very tricky call. You could go either way. I'm going to say the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. First off, if they make the playoffs, that AFC postseason's wide open. We don't know about Denver's offense. Drake May's a young player, and obviously Indianapolis just showed you some warts. And if they get into the postseason, they need 11 to do it because they don't have tiebreaker. With Mahomes, they'd have any chance to win a game. Dallas's problem to me, San Francisco, Seattle, and the Rams, they're going to make the playoffs. Green Bay, Chicago, and Detroit, excellent chance to make the playoffs. And then Tampa, Philly. There's no room for Dallas because you got the three teams in the NFC West and you got the three good teams in the NFC North. And how many teams can get in? There's not as many. So Dallas would have to maybe run the table to get in. And at the very least, go 10-6-1. And that may not even be enough because 11-5 might be the team.
Do you not think they can run the table? When you're playing Detroit, Vikings, Chargers.
They can win the Charger game is hard. The Lion game is hard. And tomorrow's hard. So they got 3 hard games winning. That Giant game, last game of the year, Giants have been very competitive.
Yes.
They'd love to knock them out. So I would say Chiefs. I think it's close. I think it's good odds that you could definitely make your answer there with Dallas. Schottenheimer's done a good job. But, Stevie, I'll say Chiefs winning the Super Bowl.
That tie, too, against an NFC team is tough for Dallas.
Yes, exactly.
The question is laughable. I'm not talking about the producers. It just makes me laugh. So the choice that I have to pick is between the Chiefs managing to figure out a way to do what they normally do, or the Dallas Cowboys managing a way to avoid what they usually do. Good luck with that. I'm going with the Chiefs to answer to this question, okay? I think they're going to beat the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving, ruin Thanksgiving for the Dallas Cowboy fans. Nothing pleases me more. And then after that, Dallas will probably win the final 5 games. I think they can win the final 5 games and end up 10-6-1, but still, that's not going to be enough in all likelihood. And why would that be? Because you lost to Chicago, you tied with Green Bay, okay? You lost to Carolina, all right? Even though Arizona's not in the mix, you lost to them too. 2 of the teams ahead of you lost to. Another team you tied with, okay? And I can't see you catching the Eagles for the division crown. So for me, that's how I look at it. I think that the Dallas Cowboys making the playoffs is an absolute long shot. Whereas if the Chiefs win this game and they decide to go on a run of their own, there's room for them within the AFC to overtake a few of those cats and to end up as a wild card. I don't think they win the AFC West either. But I do think they'll get in as a wild card. So I think the Chiefs are the answer to this question. just because of history alone.
What's wild is this question should have probably been, which team do you trust more? Because it feels like we're banking on Kansas City even making the playoffs. They're not a shoo-in right now. They have to win some games here. There's not a lot of wiggle room for either of these teams. But I feel like everyone just banks on Kansas City figuring it out in the months of December and January.
You're leaning on past history. The problem is, and I've been one to do that because of 15, right? But if you just look at the Chiefs and how they're playing, if you did not know that they were the Kansas City Chiefs and just watch them on tape, you'd be like, oh, like the quarterback just doesn't see, like easy throws, like just the offense, like the run, all of it. I don't know. It's hard to rule out the Chiefs, but if you just look at how they played this year, there's no guarantee that they'll be able to pull off what they've pulled off in the past.
I think Dallas has a little more momentum right now.
Right.
They won against the Raiders. Great comeback. Even last week, Kim, I know you were at the Cincinnati game. They didn't play that great against the Colts. They were very lucky to get out of that game.
Yeah.
They were lucky. I didn't walk away saying, wow, the Chiefs are back. But I did walk away from the Dallas game saying to myself, wow, Dallas, this is a miracle win. They have that intangible going right now with the terrible tragedy. There's a lot of life. They got two good receivers. Schedule's a little easier. Chiefs have to play the Chargers in Denver.
They got they've got
their
defensive
defense. They made a couple trades.
Yes.
So, I get a sense that Dallas has an opportunity.
Let's stay with the trades here, because now that we're saying this about Dallas, that they've got some momentum, they've won 2 in a row, they have a big matchup on Thanksgiving. That's winnable, you could argue, against Kansas City. Are Jerry's moves at the trade deadline now validated? Stephen A., what do you think?
I think to some degree it is. When you look at the way the defense has looked, I mean, listen, I don't think that Kenny Clark and 2 late first-round picks qualify for a replacement for Micah Parsons. But then when you look at acquiring Quinnen Williams and the way that he's been balling since he's arrived, Logan Wilson, and you look at Overshown being back and how their defense has looked overall, there's no denying that there's vast improvement. And you look at the fact they've given up 90. This is a team that anybody could run on. And suddenly over the last 2 games, they've given up a grand total of 90 yards rushing. And so we see the impact that Williams has had on that defense and how they look, how much better they look. And if they continue to look this way as a defense, okay, then I don't think anybody's going to be able to look at them and fault them for not giving Micah Parsons $47 to $48 million, especially when you went up against them and it was a tie on the books where you dropped 40 on Green Bay's defense. And so, and your defense wasn't anything like it is now. So we got to look at those things and say to ourselves, yeah, that it does look better. The only potential hiccup, though, is that trading Micah Parsons, what did it cost you in terms of the games where your defense was so awful? Had you been better earlier, you wouldn't be in this predicament. That would be one thing to hold against Jerry, but not anything else.
The issue for Dallas isn't so much that they're playing better than Kansas City, it's the NFC. Because the NFC's got 6 really good teams. Looks like the Bears, they got 8 wins. Green Bay is 7-3-1. Listen, they got a good defense. The Lions, you have to figure out a way to win 10 games. Then, of course, they got Seattle, the Rams, and the Niners. All have 8 wins. Rams have 9. So to make the playoffs is harder for them than for the Chiefs to make the playoffs. And then once the Chiefs get in, who's going to bet against Mahomes in a playoff game, no matter where the game is? That's why I think the Chiefs are the better play.
So the question of are the moves validated, Jerry's moves validated? I give Jerry credit for pivoting because he was prepared to give Micah money. And then he decided, oh, no, I'm not going to do it. And I felt like he had to do something. Because of that Micah decision, he saw his defense faltering. He saw Mike Eberflus's defense struggling to start the season, and he had to make a move. I thought when he got Quinnen, Kenny, all that, those were moves that would help them next season. I've been impressed. 2 games that Quinnen's been there. They've got guys back that were banged up. Now they're healthy. They've won 2 in a row. The pass rush, the QB pressures, the rushing yards allowed, all of that is what you wanted to see from the start of the season. So I don't know if it might be too little too late, but they have a great foundation where you may be, if you're a Cowboys fan, you're not feeling as bad that we lost Micah because you see the fruits of the labor. But again, Jerry did have to pivot.
Yes, I think if the Cowboys make the playoffs and Green Bay does not,
Jerry going to be insufferable.
That would be wild. But that is when we could all say, okay, Jerry, look what's going on. Let's go to the NBA now. Time for a quick take. Don't look now, Lakers.
Today on Cowboys Nation Report, we're diving into one of the most heated and entertaining debates to hit the ESPN desk this season. It all started with a simple question: what happens if the Dallas Cowboys win today? And according to Ryan Clark, if the Cowboys handle their business, they can run the table. That's right, 6 straight wins to close the season. And while that idea exploded into reactions, sarcasm, and disbelief on the panel, it also sparked something real: the possibility that Dallas is more dangerous than anyone wants to admit. Ryan Clark took to the touchscreen and broke it down. If Dak Prescott and Brian Schottenheimer show up in a big game, if Dallas actually delivers on the national stage, then the rest of the schedule suddenly becomes very manageable. Detroit in prime time? Indoors. The Vikings with a rookie quarterback? Winnable. The Chargers collapsing week after week? A game Dallas can control. And the Commanders and Giants? Those teams already look like they're packing their U-Haul trucks for the offseason. It was bold, but it wasn't unrealistic. Ryan said Dallas could run the table, and he meant it. Then Mina Kimes came in. She respected the idea, but she shut down one key part: the Cowboys beating Detroit in Detroit. She argued the Lions have the interior offensive line to hold up, the run game to test Dallas's defense, and a coaching staff capable of exposing weaknesses. She pointed out that Detroit center Frank Ragnow coming back changes everything. And from her perspective, that matchup alone breaks the 6-0 prediction. Tight games? Yes. Winnable games? Yes. But Detroit? Not for her. Then Woody jumped in, backing Ryan Clark. He thinks Dallas has the weapons to attack Detroit's secondary and believes 4 of these final 6 games being indoors is a massive advantage. No weather, no wind, no cold, pure turf, pure speed, pure Dallas football. And that led to the biggest point of the entire segment. Tonight's game is pivotal. Beat Kansas City, and the Cowboys instantly shift from maybe to absolutely in the conversation. Then Stephen A. Smith arrived for hour number 2 and brought chaos. After being roasted earlier for being too negative, he declared for 30 minutes he would speak positively and lovingly about the Cowboys. And what happened next shocked everyone at the table. Not only did Stephen A. praise Ryan Clark's breakdown, but he actually defended Dallas. He broke out numbers: Dak's 80% completion rate on play action, Kansas City's league worst 79% allowed on play action, and the Cowboys' improved interior defensive. Suddenly, the man famous for yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" whenever they lose, was acknowledging that Dallas can absolutely win this game. But when Mina asked him directly who the Cowboys beat, the Chiefs or Detroit, he switched back to Stephen A. mode. He believes Dallas will go 5-1, not 6-0. He thinks they'll win one of the big games, but not both. Still, that puts this team at 11-6 and in a legitimate playoff push. And that's where everything comes together. The panel is split, the predictions vary, the energy is electric, but the message is clear. Tonight's game against Kansas City changes everything. Win here, and the Cowboys control their destiny. Lose, and the path becomes almost impossible. This is the moment where the narrative flips. This is where Dak Prescott proves he's the quarterback who finishes seasons, not collapses in them. This is where the Cowboys take their season back. Now it's your turn. Can the Cowboys run the table? Do they beat Detroit? Do they beat Kansas City today? Drop your predictions in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe to Cowboys Nation Report. The season is on the line, and it starts right now.